If you could disinvent something, what would it be? Story 1. I have heard of 3 inventors who regret what they put into the world, not going to bother looking up names RN. The USB inventor regrets not making it so it could be inserted in either orientation. The K-cup inventor regrets how much extra trash they cause. The pop-up inventor regrets inventing them at all. Story 2. Landmines. Seriously? They fuck up people long after wars are finished. Story 3. Subscription services. Either let me try it for free, then buy it full price, or let me rent it and charge me only for the amount of time I used it for. Edit. Of course, it doesn't apply to everything. Subscriptions make sense for something like Apple Music, Xbox Game Pass, or Costco, but I don't want to have to pay Adobe $60 a month for Photoshop when I could just rent a license. You don't subscribe to a car, you just rent it for how many days you need it for. Story 4. I don't know if I could de-invent it, but I'd sure like to ban it 24-hour news cycle. There was a time when people could read a paper or watch 26 minutes of news in the evening and share what they felt and saw with each other. Now everybody has to have a riot, a movement, lawyers. It's gone insane. A lot of these people act like their baby's on fire. Story 5. Software as a service. Just release a full new build every few years like they used to. The concept of the 0-day patch. Fix your damn software before shipping. Story 6. Everything that Thomas Midgley Jr. invented, specifically leaded gasoline and CFCs, the things that destroyed the ozone layer. He is the person in history who can be directly attributed to the most environmental damage done by the inventions of a single person. Story 7. A lot of inventions mentioned here that have had positive outcomes alongside of negative ones. HOAs, however, may look good on paper, but hath wrought no good to this world. Story 8. Privatized for-profit healthcare. Yes, that includes all the non-profit facilities. Non-profit hospitals are non-profit the same way the DPRK is democratic. You're not fooling anyone. Story 9. Light bulb. Not because I wish to live in the dark, maybe. I just think it's be funny having campfires and candles everywhere. The light doesn't hurt me. I just enjoy the flicker of a candle, and since I like it, everyone has to too, right? Story 10. There are so many terrible inventions it's hard to pick just one. Top 5 off the top of my head. Plastic of probably every kind, hard to argue with landmines, nuclear weapons. Power would have been okayish if we stopped at that. War on drugs, capitalism. So many more we could do without or have done better. Story 11. If I could disinvent one thing, it would be political association. As an American, both resident and citizen, it would be great to see us pull together as a nation of Americans, not liberals or conservatives or independents, etc. Just people who care about the entire nation, not just their team, while trashing the other for differences of opinion. We all want the same things, even if we can't agree on how to achieve them. Story 12. All misinformation about vaccines, especially that they cause children to be autistic. We've pretty much eradicated multiple infectious diseases thanks to vaccines, and now we're just gonna let kids start easily getting smallpox and measles again because we don't believe in them? Not to mention that people would choose their kid being dead over being autistic if given the choice? Story 13. Advertising. The primary goal of advertising is to manufacture desire. And the Buddhists are onto something with the claim that desire is the root of all suffering. It's the enemy of being content and satisfied with your life. It's an omnipresent lie that's repeated over and over that says this or that product will finally make you happy when it never will. It's contributed to the worst parts of consumer capitalism, cigarettes, the obesity epidemic, and more generally, the mass overconsumption that has led to the rapid degradation of our planet. Story 14. The smartphone. The internet is great, and cell phones are great. Being able to so easily share your opinion and emotions has been detrimental to our society as a whole. Story 15. The atomic bomb. And yes, I get that without it there would have been an incredibly bloody, brutal land invasion of Japan with high civilian cost. That's unfortunate, but an acceptable cost to pay to prevent the current state of affairs where the threat of horrific nuclear annihilation of the entire world is a real and constant concern. Story 16. I'd personally disinvent the ideologies on behalf of corporations that the public doesn't care about planned obsolescence, repairing their belongings and high-quality goods. I would also disinvent social media. Story 17. Sticky traps. There are more humane ways. I remember crying my eyes out as a child when I found a lizard on the one my parents had under our computer desk for fleas. I tried saving him and ripped his legs off. Story 18. Single knob showers. Those damn things can be turned like 360 asterisk around, but everyone knows that there's only a single molecule of that distance that doesn't make the water blazing hot or frigidly cold. Two knobs, give me my choices back. Story 19. Low-hanging fruit would be social media, but also any electronics that requires a lot of babysitting to work reliably. I'm tired of it. Operating systems that don't protect themselves properly, leaving us with unreliable computers. I'm looking at you, OS X. Subscription everything, planned obsolescence, house remodels with materials so cheap they instantly need replacing. At some point, we need to vote with our wallets if we want things to change, but that is easier to say than to do. Story 20. Interest loans. If they didn't exist and people were actually able to save up and buy a house, they'd be so much more affordable. Same with cars. It'd be a much more equitable society for 99.9% of people, and to the 0.1% that lose out, what, am I supposed to feel bad for them? They'd still be rich. Story 21. Social media platforms where people can set mindless trends and showboat, not Reddit, but like Instagram, TikTok, etc. My younger and seriously impressionable cousins have so little self-esteem because they don't look like the people they scroll through, or have the things they see others having, or act the way others act. It's so sad. I miss my childhood in the 90s when grass-stained jeans, popsicle juice mustaches, and hand-me-downs were the norm. Well, I guess they still are. They're just now called vintage boutique clothes, LOL. Story 22. Expanded polystyrene styrofoam packaging. It's bad for the environment in almost every way. Even the water use in manufacturing it gets everywhere as litter and is too cheap for its own good. Quite a few multi-million-dollar businesses exist just to sell replacements to styrofoam as packaging. And yet they don't beat the price by enough to convince those using EPS for years to risk changing their packaging. Story 23. Any and every fast food chain. It's so sad that you find a McDonald's at every main station in Europe. Don't get me started on America. It's not even cheap food anymore and makes you sick. There should not be a Burger King or KFC in almost every country in the world. Bring back traditional and nutritious food. Story 24. Apps. All of them. If I want to access something badly enough, I'll use a damn web page. I'll burn down the whole concept of apps if it means I'm never again going to be told I need an app for a fucking light bulb or a door lock or a doctor's appointment or what the hell ever. I'm sick of this shit. Story 25. Personal automobile. Cars in general are fine, fire trucks and ambulances for instance. But America's cities are designed around cars and made for them instead of people. If the automobile industry hadn't lobbied city officials in the early 20th century to design cities in such a way that you need a car to live in them, then we could have cities with safe and efficient public transportation. We could have residential areas designed in such a way that you wouldn't need a car. And we could have high-speed rail between cities. Cars are expensive, polluting, inefficient, and worst of all, dangerous. Story 26. Probably already been said, but subscription services. You have to pay constantly for literally any and everything. And everybody is exclusive. You want to watch a show that doesn't exist on Netflix? Gotta pay for Hulu. Need more storage on your iPhone? Gotta pay for storage subscription through iCloud. It's insanity. Story 27. Social media. It's one of the worst things humanity has created. People interact in person less. They get stuck in echo chambers. We have companies, governments, and groups constantly stealing our data and trying to manipulate us. It's a cancer. Story 28. Modern credit scores. You should have one for renting and mortgages, and consumer spending should be completely separate. Student loans should not factor at all. Story 29. Generative AI. Everyone seems to be oblivious to just how dangerous it is. Already it's poisoning the internet, and soon we won't be able to tell fiction from reality anymore. That, and generating all this sludge, creates enormous amounts of carbon emissions, not to mention the hundreds of millions of workers who are going to be displaced and left out of a job by this technology. Story 30. Automobiles. Environmental harms from carbon emissions plus microplastics from tire rubber, cities and low-income/POC communities getting bulldozed to make way for highway systems. Infrastructure being entirely car-centric, thus disincentivizing healthier alternatives, such as walking and biking, not to mention short-term health harms from unclean air, urban sprawl, and suburbs, etc. I know this answer is kinda American-centric, but it's hard to overstate the immeasurable harm done by the automobile. Story 31. It's minor compared to some of this list, but those little connectors for iPhones that are required for putting in headphones. I hate them. They break constantly, and they are clearly just a money grab. I miss when you could just plug your headphones straight into the phone. Story 32. Social media. only because of what it has done to our society as a whole. There are good things that came from it. Indeed, these things can come from other places. But yes, SM is my choice, and a lot of the people involved in its making also agree. Story 33 AI. We thought AI would be used to benefit society by taking the mundane parts of life and doing them for us. Instead, AI companies are dead set on replicating, poorly, the best parts of life, art in all its forms, and filling the internet and future world with hollowed-out slop in its place. I'm not looking forward to the future where I'm constantly sifting through AI movies, books, games, articles just to find a quality one created by a person. Not sure why so many people are speeding ahead to this future with reckless abandon. Story 34. Jet skis. They're so frickin' annoying and scream, "I'm a giant knob." Oh, you're at the beautiful beach? You want to listen to the waves and relax? Well, too bad, 'cause 6 bros with jet skis are here and they're out for a good time. Story 35. Ownership investment. It should have all been loans that get paid off. If calling it a bond makes you feel better about it, so be it. It might have curtailed the too-big-to-fail banks and the monolithic corporations, IAE, Rothschild, Rockefeller, etc., etc. Unfortunately, with greedy authoritarians and idealistic chumpettes that eventually get into government, it would likely have been trounced anyway. Story 36. I was going to say TikTok. I don't think any form of social media has been so damaging. Influencers existed before TikTok and they will after, but the extend and need to trending just seems to exacerbate it. But after I saw the landmines comment, I just feel silly. Story 37. Either the current AI software programs or fake news websites and pink slime newspapers. While AI software programs incredibly useful, they're eventually going to lead to a lot of white-collar workers losing their jobs, and therefore a bikiti to quickly generate fairly realistic images is already leading to the fake news websites problem, and fake news images problem getting worse. Also, if you don't know, please actually research what fake news actually is. Like, fake news is not a real news agency like CNN, Fox News, Vox, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, etc., giving a somewhat biased yet otherwise accurate news report. Actual fake news is either A, people like Russian government agents or Macedonian scammers, creating actually 100% fake news websites to either intentionally mislead people or get money off the website ads, or B, a seemingly legit yet suspicious-looking local paper that is actually a pink sledge news newspaper with just a few real news articles in it, like a weather report, a sports report, and/or a news story or two reprinted from Reuters or United Press International UPI, with the rest of the news reports being made up BS. Story 38. Subscription-only products. Video games / movies / TV / creative development programs. Looking at you, Adobe. Anything you use to be able to buy from a one-time fee is now a subscription you have to rent and never truly own. The top comment said household appliances are also now subscription services. Story 39. The Internet. Sure, we get a lot of good stuff, but it is stuff that we can exist without. On the downside, the internet is bringing the West to its knees. Back in the early 90s, people lived quite happily without streaming services, online shopping, Google, social media, and masses of porn. These have led to social ills that may never be reversed. All that easily available porn, for instance, has instilled in young people a warped idea of what is acceptable. Social media has led to extraordinary amounts of malicious disinformation affecting things like Brexit in the UK, deep political divisions in the US, the COVID response. China, not subjected to disinformation about the virus and vaccine, recovered faster and stronger than all other major economies. The internet has also detonated some of the West's most cherished principles, like freedom of the press and democracy itself. Disinformation has exposed the weakness in Western democracies. Everyone has an equal vote, but all too often the vast majority of voters are left in ignorance and nurturing a sense of injustice and anger. Malignant agents have mobilized these overlooked people using the internet and hooked into that anger to turn the West against itself. Story 40. Alcoholic drinks. I do drink very occasionally, but I grew up surrounded by alcoholics, and seeing it literally everywhere I go is annoying. It is a controlled substance, and the devastating effects it has on people are not worth the maybe 3 hours of fun it might give you. Call me a prude, but I'd rather not see you in the obituaries. Story 41. Subscriptions. Any subscriptions. If you have to pay sums of money a month to use a service or product, then it becomes a one-time purchase, non-refundable, and that's that. Let me tell you about something I found out recently. The Google Play Store lets you publish applications onto their store for a one-time cost of $25. Apple lets you do the same thing, except it is a monthly cost of $99. They also offer a second subscription of a whopping increase, which leads the cost to $299. However, the $299 service lets businesses publish regular apps for the public, and also restricted apps that only certain individuals can access. So like staff training apps. Google Play has not got the $299 Apple subscription features, yet it is significantly cheaper and is not a monthly cost. Apple charges almost $300 a month to publish an app, but with a few extra features that benefit the devs. My closing thoughts of the matter are, stop fucking around and give me Spotify for a one-time cost. It's music FFS. I doubt artists will go broke without it.